Hi guys, it's HealthPusher56X, and today I'm with SJDY3R to find out which car is better, the M12, which has just got a buff, or the Parisian. And if you only want to see some of the tests, then all of the tests will be on the screen, and then the timestamps are in the description. So we're going to start off with a city test to see just how good the handling of each one is. I'm going to start off with the M12. So as usual, the M12 seems to have pretty good grip on the road, but unlike what it used to be, its turning, I feel like it's a little bit worse. It might just be the speed buff, which makes you go quicker, which means you won't turn as quickly, but it definitely isn't at the height that it used to be at. But still, 23 seconds.
Okay, now time for the Parisian.
There's a really stark contrast here between the Parisian and the M12, because the Parisian's actually turning quite a lot quicker than the M12 is. However, it doesn't have very much traction on the road. It's as if you're always drifting, but not really as exaggerated as that. And really, it's a decision, do you want grip or do you want turning? I'd say you probably want turning on this one.
That was pretty good.
So this was actually a victory for the Parisian, which kind of surprised me because I thought the M12 was really good at this test. But it turns out that the M12's new speed buff has really hindered its performance. But then I went back to check its old performance in this test, and it actually still was a little bit slower, only by about like 7 milliseconds. But it still was slower than the Parisian, so that proves that Parisian is really just a little bit eking out the M12 in this test. So for the next test, we're going to do a general speed test, where we basically drive it around the entire map to see what top speed we can get and how quickly it can go around the entire map. And also I'm going to put up the old score for the M12 just so I can show you how much the M12 has improved from before. So I'm going to show all of them on screen at once in 3, 2, 1. Just a heads up, I'm starting the old M12 one a little bit later because it started a little bit further along the track, just so I can make all of the tests even. The old M12 used to be in a situation where it was better acceleration than everything else, but it only went up to 260 miles per hour. So it would normally lose this test to the other ones. And now the Parisian's taking up that role against the new M12, which has turned into one of those cars which has a very high top speed. It still has the acceleration, but it's got the same things weighing it down as those other high top speed cars now. So the M12 isn't really filling out the same role. But also, if you're wondering what that jump cut was with the Parisian, I kept getting that bug where if the chunks won't load quick enough, then it'll just go to 0 miles per hour randomly. And I don't really have that happening with the M12 at all. It was literally just with the Parisian, and it happened twice on the first and second run where I tried to record it. So that's just noting down there. It's not really realistic to get that sort of driving because sometimes they'll just get that annoying bug. Hopefully they'll fix it, but for now that's just something to note. So this is the acceleration test where we see how quickly it can clear the Bounty Bay airports, which is a short period, so the faster it can accelerate generally, the faster it'll be able to clear it. And we're just going to go from this bar to the bar at the end. So we're going to start off with the M12 here. Now the Parisian. So as you could see, somehow they got the exact same miles per hour, whilst the Parisian was quicker. That's such a weird thing to say. Like, you'd think of the Parisian completed it quicker, then it would have a higher speed. But they literally match. But I'm going to give it to the Parisian on this one, even though they matched at the end. The Parisian obviously has a quicker launch, but just slows down, so it equals out. But I think launch is more important than the acceleration afterwards. Now I'm going to do the most generic test that every single person does in their videos, which is a drag race, but it needs to be done because everyone loves the drag race. So for the drag race, yet again the Parisian was just a little bit better at launch acceleration, but then the M12 just completely went and took it because of its new top speed buff. Now it used to struggle against the Parisian since it had a much better top speed, but obviously its time has been much improved, so if that's a main thing that you want to consider in your purchase raw speed, then M12 definitely has it for you. Now the customization and the looks. For the customization, they're pretty much the same. You can't add a second color on either of them, and you can't add a spoiler on either of them. And up to the looks, that's really subjective, whether you like this more or this more. But just to tell you, this is more detailed and obviously more interesting than this one. But I personally like this one more, but it's really up to you on this one. You can make your own judgment. But they have the same amount of customization, so that wouldn't really come into a decision. So here are all the scores for all of the tests. So hopefully you should be able to make your own decision on which one you would like to get. So thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.